welcome to Uphold. My name is Dr. Martin Hiesboeck. I'm the head of research at Uphold. And my guest today is Shahaf Bar-Geffen of COTI. So a special day for all the ADA and the COTI and the fans of the directed acyclic graph. Welcome to the show, Shahaf.
Hello. Thank you for having me here today. I appreciate it.
I've done this so often, I've started calling it the show. How did this whole thing get started? Can you explain a bit about the background, how COTI started, what it set out to do, and then really about your personal path into the crypto rabbit hole?
Well, but it's a long answer. I'll try to keep it brief. Well, COTI is an enterprise-grade layer 1, which is uniquely optimized to solve challenges around payments. This is COTI V1. COTI V2 will be around RegTech, but we'll get into that. So COTI was founded back in 2017. So we survived quite a few crypto winters successfully, and we're here today. I got into crypto around 2015 after selling my previous company, which I founded in 2006 and called it Web3, believe it or not. Yes.
You were before the time, as so many inventions.
I came with a time machine and then started that, yeah, and bought a lot of Bitcoin. Okay, so COTI, how do we solve payments? So there are 3 things that we're doing to allow us to offer enterprises what we call a private payment network. So like an ecosystem where users and merchants can interact using a token that they create. So the first thing is...
Sorry to interrupt you. Enterprise meaning that if I'm, for example, Airbus or the Boeing company, I could use your solution to have a company internal payment system. Do I understand this right?
You understood it spot on. And maybe and even more so if you're dealing directly with users, right? Like in big e-commerce website, right? Or a platform or a gaming company and so on and so forth. So how do we do that? 3 big things. One is our unique technology. As I've mentioned, COTI is a layer 1, so it's based on a graph, a direct acyclic graph, which, as you know, offers superior scalability, instant settlement, but not on the expense of security. So other than the graph, we have our own consensus protocol called proof of trust, which we can dive into.
I'm curious about this. We've come across the directed acyclic graph many times in our webinars, and it is increasingly a part of blockchain technology. Can you please, maybe for the benefit of the listener who've never heard of it, explain the basic difference between a normal blockchain and the DAG, the DAG?
Yes, I can do that. Team, can I have maybe a video of a direct acyclic graph that we can show the audience? Okay, great. So this is a direct acyclic graph, but you can see instantly that it's based on a mesh and not on blocks. Meaning in terms of scalability, we don't batch transactions into blocks and by definition doing it slowly. We actually have scalability built within the consensus. What do I mean by that? If there's a lot of pressure, a lot of demand for a specific blockchain, it will be slower to approve transactions, right? Because there's a big queue. With a graph, it's different. Because each new transaction attaches itself to the graph and validates previous transactions, if we have more transactions coming in, the validation times actually shortens and the graph becomes faster. So it's the other way around, right? Yeah. If we have a lot of demand, this chain moves faster. Specifically, what we have with the proof of trust, right? Because direct acyclic graph is kind of like a database. It's the way the system is built, and then on top of it, and it can be blocks and it can be a graph, but what's your consensus mechanism? So our consensus mechanism is unique. With Dr. Nir Alawani, our CTO, has developed it. It's called proof of trust, and it aims to encourage good network behavior, resulting in lower fees and better service quality. So what you can see in the graph behind me is that new transactions, these orange transactions, are attached to the graph, and they attach to two blue transactions, meaning transactions that were previously there but have not yet been confirmed. So it has been validated but not confirmed, and they attach to black transactions which are already validated and confirmed. Each of these transactions has its own trust score, and that trust score is based on machine learning, and it's calculated in relation to previous behaviors and all sorts of information that we have. Now, transactions with certain trust score attached to transactions with similar trust scores. So think of it maybe as high, medium, low, right? And when we've reached a threshold of trust to a specific chain, it is then validated and confirmed. So a chain with a very high trust score characteristics will be validated faster because maybe 3 or 4 transactions are enough to reach the threshold, and those with lower trust score will take longer, which is kind of what we expect in real life, and this is how you encourage better trust score and the right network behavior. So this is how our proof of trust algorithm works, and what it means essentially.
It means that it's ideal for payments. You solve the scalability problem, so you can have ever increasing amount of payments, and you solve the trust problem for your chain. I get that.
Exactly.
So
And
what is the current state of COTI adoption? So who is using it? Who are you doing trials with, as much as you can reveal publicly?
Great. So we're working with quite a lot of merchants in various sizes. We used to advertise a lot about it in terms of names and volumes, but we've realized over time that we kind of losing some of our commercial edge with that, because our merchants used to say, every time you do this video, everybody starts to call me, and then they started to adopt other things as well. So we are a bit more hush-hush about it this last year. What I'm very happy to say is that we're working on quite a few big things, which we'll reveal and we'll be able to show more names and usage of the infrastructure. And specifically, what is of more interest to us these days is the new technologies that we've developed. So for us, the ideal client now doesn't just want to use the infrastructure to facilitate payments. He's actually minting a token. He's using a wallet. He's using a gateway that we've developed. So he's taking a full suite of things from us. And this is where we focus on. And this is, and we're gunning now for the big names out there. Those who can bring in millions of users to the infrastructure. It's there's so much time you have in the day, and you may as well focus on the whales and not on the small fish when you're looking for clients. And this is what we're doing. So some people get impatient about, hey, I want these new names every day. Doesn't work that way in enterprise sale. And this is why we're focused on what's appropriate for us now. So the good offering for us now is a client that cares about regulation, because COTI is the only layer 1 out there that has done KYC and AML procedures to all of the holders of the native token. So that's one big thing. The other big thing is a client that is looking for, as I've mentioned, a full solution, a full private payment network. And that's an enterprise-grade product, and that's an A to Z solution we solve from bottom to top. So we are adopted, we are used, but it's going to be a lot more this year. We've also managed, and I think you guys understand graphs, and you know how complicated that is, with a technology called multi-DAG, or multi-DAG 2.0. This is the version where we're at right now. We allow the issuance of native assets on top of our infrastructure. So tokens. So tokens that inherit all the DAG capabilities from our chain, and then we can give those to merchants, and then they can mint tokens and use it. So this is the big things that are coming. Took us quite a while to develop all of it. It is complicated, and we've seen a lot of teams developing graphs, but never being able to mint assets. We can. So we're there now. So it's now the game of business development more than anything else.
Wonderful. There is a connection that I was aware of very, very early on. I was more connected to the Cardano ecosystem, and I was a big Cardano staker. And that's actually the first time I came across COTI. Can you explain the connection between Cardano and COTI and your new stable coin, which is out just about a month or two?
Sure. Yes. So we've in the last day of January, we have launched DJED, which is an over-collateralized stablecoin on the Cardano chain. It's a great success. It already captures about 13% of all TVL in Cardano's DeFi. And what's interesting is that, over this last weekend, with Silvergate and Silicon Valley Bank and USDC depegging and then DAI depegging and all of those depegs, one of the few stablecoins that kept its peg was DJED. Now, this is not because we're lucky. This is because DJED is over-collateralized, at least by 4x. And I think right now, as we speak, it's about...
Sorry, you mean 4 times over-collateralized?
Yes, exactly.
If there's a million DJED in circulation, you hold 4 million in the bank.
Exactly. Now, how is this
over-collateralization? Why is that so high?
Well, over-collateralization, it's straightforward. This is what, over time, makes things stable and keeping their peg, right? It's over-collateralized by a lot. Now, being a decentralized stablecoin obviously proves itself these days. What we've seen happening with USDC, having fiat in a bank, and Luna, and all of these things kind of like show you again and again and again that things cannot be trusted. They need to be verified, and DJED's collateral is on chain, and it can be verified, and it's decentralized. You just need to trust the code, not me. That's one big thing. The second thing is that when you over-collateralize, you help stability, but the downside of it is obviously capital efficiency, right? Like, why would we? We want stability, but putting
at what
4x
price?
the amount, like what's the right bargain there? So what we've done, and that circles back to Cardano, because it was a research made by Cardano called DJED, like a white paper published a few years ago, was describing this unique stablecoin. So we have ADA. ADA is the collateral, right? And ADA is exogenous to DJED. ADA has its own liquidity, own usage, and everything. It's not the case of Luna and UST. So we have ADA, and ADA is the collateral, and ADA is very strong. We have DJED, the stable coin, and that keeps its peg because it's over-collateralized. The way we incentivize people to put ADA in the smart contract is by issuing another type of token. That token is called SHEN. And if you're willing to put ADA in the smart contract to over-collateralize the people who want to mint DJED, then you are incentivized by collecting all the mint and burn fees that the protocol creates. So instead of, maybe Circle, Paxos, whoever, making all the money, it's actually the community that is making the money here. COTI collects some operational fee, of course, and that is sent to the COTI community. But most of the money goes back to those who put the collateral. And these are the SHEN holders. So that token is volatile, obviously.
It's definitely more decentralized than having the USDC depegging just because 5% of their deposits in a good old-fashioned brick-and-mortar bank are not accessible anymore.
Yeah, we need to protect crypto from banks, right? It's not
we
the other
need
way
to
around
protect
anymore.
crypto from banks now. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So you do enterprise payments, consumer merchant payments. On your website, you also mentioned CBDCs. Did I forget anything? What other use cases do you see for COTI or the tokens issued on it?
So there is one big thing that people like about COTI, and rightfully so, is COTI's Treasury. So COTI's Treasury is a system. It's an application, right, where people can deposit their COTI for various periods of time, and be rewarded on it. So the way we can send back the fees that we collect, from merchants and from various activities and from JED and from everything else, the way we can share that with the community is through the Treasury. So it's a straightforward deal. You deposit your COTI in the Treasury, right? And you collect the fees that are coming from our system. That's simple. And that has been a great success. There's over 500 million COTI that has been deposited in COTI's Treasury, capturing 42%.
Acts in sort of like a money fund, right?
I wouldn't think of it as fund. I would think of it as participation. Like, this is how we allow people, to participate, and that's substantial TVL right there. And what's exciting right now is that we are about to issue a token that we call gCOTI,
which is the token.
Exactly, it's a governance token for COTI's Treasury. And it has various utilities in COTI's Treasury, including boosting your APY and participating in liquidation and voting and so on and so forth. And that token is a native asset on top of COTI's trust chain. So we're using the CMD standard, Multi-DAG 2.0, to issue that token. And people can then assume governance over COTI's Treasury and enjoy the monetary value it provides, because it can boost your APY, etc. Now, obviously, this is a lucrative token. So do we sell it? No, we're giving it away to our community through an airdrop campaign. Generally speaking, you can participate in this campaign by locking COTI in COTI's Treasury when the campaign starts, and then you get your airdropped gCOTI. There is also something interesting that we are playing with, COTI Community Campaign, which is a campaign where people, maybe some people don't have a lot of COTI, which is fine, right? Maybe they can't afford it, or, not everybody are whales.
It's okay not to own COTI. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, but they are very, but they do contribute to COTI's ecosystem.
Yeah.
They post, they create content, they help.
Yeah.
So why shouldn't they be benefited, right? It's not everything should be a financial game.
Yeah.
So
you're very much still adherent to the original Cardano spirit of participation and equality, and that I like that you are completely absorbing that.
And we're very I sometimes said, it's like the Canada and the US relationship. Like, we're very friendly with the Cardano ecosystem. We do a lot with them. I'm friends with Charles Hoskinson and with the management of IOG. We've done AdaPay together. We've done JED together, where they contributed a lot of the engineering to this and helped a lot. So yes, obviously we align on many things. We're two different chains, right? Two different tokens, but we align in many things. And I think it's important to have friends in the space. And also, COTI build bridges. And I don't mean just metaphorically, but like technically. We have a bridge to Ethereum. We will have a bridge to, we used to have a bridge to Binance Smart Chain. We will have a bridge to Cardano as well. And then it's more interoperable than other things. So this is another big thing. And if we are talking about airdrops and the gCOTI airdrop, one super interesting thing that has just happened today is the Arbitrum airdrop. Now, why do I mention Arbitrum airdrop?
Not happened yet, has it?
I think no. You can now see, but people now know what
they know how much they get for participating.
People either celebrate or not.
The way they do it, quite ingenious, right? You put your address in, and then suddenly you see how much you have interacted with the project already.
This is probably it's probably one of the most popular websites in the last 2 hours in the internet, right?
So what's your connection with Arbitrum?
Great. So one of the things that COTI has done throughout the years is built a DeFi protocol called the Crypto Volatility Index. So those who know TradeFi or just aware, we've built VIX for crypto. So it's
a volatility index.
Exactly. It's a volatility index, and it allows people to trade based on their assumption on volatility. So sometimes you don't know if the market is going up or it's going down, but you do have like a sense of if it's going to be volatile or not. And this is a good, either a good trade or just a good hedge, because you have a portfolio and you fear a lot of volatility right now, so you want to hedge this. So this is the crypto volatility index. It has its own token. It's called GOVI, GOVI, and that was built on Ethereum, right? And then it was launched on Arbitrum pretty early on. Turns out that a lot of the people that own GOVI that has been using the crypto volatility index are now eligible
to receive the airdrop.
The airdrop. And like we see a lot of users, getting thousands of RBs. And my estimation is that it means like thousands of dollars of airdrop because they've used the crypto volatility index. Which, if we go back, GOVI, the governance token for this crypto volatility index, was never sold as well. We also airdropped it to COTI holders. And back then, it was something like $16 million worth of an airdrop that we just did to the COTI holders. And I think with gCOTI, it's also something to consider, because
but it will be COTI, a normal token that's going out onto exchanges. gCOTI, I can buy.
gCOTI will be on an exchanges.
Okay.
Of course, yeah, if they want to.
All right. Anything else you want to share? What's on your roadmap for the next year? It's been a bit of a rough week, and we are still recovering from the fact that the Swiss National Bank had to bail out their favorite bank once again.
Yes. So we don't need a bailout, but I would say what to expect, like big things from us. With JED, as I mentioned, we have like a complete roadmap in terms of upgrades and everything else that is coming from JED. Something to look for is JED going on multiple chains. So the basis of it will remain Cardano, but JED itself, like, there's no reason why it shouldn't be bridged to Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and be a very useful stable coin in DeFi there. Why it's important? Because as we've seen during this weekend, JED keeps the peg. Now, it makes a very poor DeFi opportunity if you're holding a token that depegs. Right, you're working hard to get your 6%.
Many of the DeFi protocols had USDC hard coded into the protocol. That's something we forget. That's why they got in trouble with DAI and everything. Yeah.
Yes. So JED. This is why JED is important, and we want to see JED on other chains. So that's one thing to look for, and that's great for COTI holders because it means more fees, and that fees funnels to the Treasury that we've mentioned. So with Treasury and gCOTI. Today, we have announced the gCOTI campaign, the airdrop that I was mentioning, and that will start in April, which is around the corner. So if people are interested in this airdrop, they should definitely go to the COTI channels and
are you in touch with our team about this?
All right, great. So look for that.
We will get in touch to make sure that everything is according to
plan. So that's that. We are shifting our roadmap these days to be able to showcase the first private payment network that we are launching with a client sooner than what we planned for, because we understand how important it is to our users. So that's something to look for. And lastly is COTI V2. COTI V2 will not be launched this year, but the white paper for it and the plans for it sure will. And COTI V2 is interesting. COTI V2 is going to be what we call a policy network. What's a policy network? think about how computer is built, so you can think about, Bitcoin maybe being the storage, like the value.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what we see today as Ethereum, Cardano, and whatnot, is like CPU, is like a way to process data.
Mm-hmm.
And the next building block that we're thinking about is policies. So policies are maybe like the motherboard, like a way to circuit between things.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you are a DAO, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to focus on like a very specific thing. Maybe it's a charity, maybe it's building something, right? But you have all these policies. So what every DAO is doing right now is building a smart contract to solve a problem that another DAO needs to solve and another DAO needs to solve. So they're not focusing on the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you are a DApp in DeFi and you want to be compliant to AML policies.
Yeah.
Because you care, or your users care, or you want to work with institutions, right? So being compliant to financial regulation is quite complicated. It's more than just having this gateway to do KYC AML, trust me. So maybe you want to adopt and consume all these policies. So what we are building with our infrastructure is a layer 1 that can interact and be interoperable with other layer 1s, that allows developers to create policies that other developers can adopt in their dApps. And these policies can and audit these policies, and these policies can prove that everything is compliant within this network, whether it's a DAO doing something, or as I've mentioned, financial compliance or GDPR, or all of these policies out there.
So you are decentralizing compliance.
We are decentralizing compliance, exactly. That, and making it a building block. We think that a smart contract, a contract is a certain building block. A policy is something more elaborated, right? And it takes some time to understand that. But a policy is something more elaborated. It's a structure that people can just consume, put it in their app, and they're good to go. And now they can focus on the specific use case that they want to solve, and not needing to build everything that was already built before. Problems should be solved once, and people can specialize in solving that specific problem. So this is what COTI V2 will do.
Shahaf, thank you so very much for joining me.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and all the best, and good luck for all your development and the year. Thank you.
Thank you.